Alright guys, I brought you a clip for the Scandinavian drift entry, which is with the sky view, so we could have a very easy look on top of the map and we could see what the car is doing, where it's going. So usually when you do Scandinavian, you want to go full straight, then you flick right, then you flick left, and then you flick right again and enter the corner, right? So this is usually Scandinavian, is one more transition. Basically, you flick on the direction of the corner. In this situation, we have to flick right because this is the right corner. So we flick to the right, then we flick to the left, we flick to the right. So without further ado, guys, I'm going to explain to you what exactly is happening. I'm gonna play the clip. We're gonna check the clip real quick, look at the skid marks, and then I'm gonna break it down to you. So let's play the clip and watch. Car goes full speed, flick to the right, flick to the left. Then again, we flick to the right and we enter the corner, and we still have just enough momentum to get deep here into the corner, fill it out, and then we have this very nice outside exit and we can keep managing. We have the perfect speed. So let's follow the skid marks, guys. Now, this is exactly where coming in here full speed, and then I see I have way more speed than I need for this corner. I won't be able to slow down. So what do we do? In this case, I have enough spacing here before the corner. We flick to the right, this helps us unsettle the car, also it shifts the weight to the right, and this will wash off, this first flick is going to wash off a lot of the speed by sending the weight to the right. Then again we reach here, right here is the second flick, we flick to the left, this again shifts the weight, we are again slowing ourselves down, and then we finally reach right here, which is the third flick, and we go into the corner to the right side direction, and of course we shift the weight towards here so we can help and redirect this momentum to pull us here together with, you know, being full throttle if possible. Of course, if you get into emergency where it's like, oh crap, I still need to slow down a bit, and if you need just tiny bit, you could just start modulating. If you need to slow a lot, you could definitely do a bit of lift-offs and stuff, just to not stall the engine. You could clutch kick as well later, but you do whatever means necessary to slow yourself down or save yourself from just preventing to go on the grass or hit the wall. But you could see here we did exactly our calculation in your brain, how much we need to slow down, and we managed to get this very smooth and nice skid mark here. You could see how smoothly we managed to flow through the track with the Scandinavian being full throttle, and we got this deep exit. It's all about shifting the weight at the beginning, flicking, then flicking again, just unsettling the car because we're driving straight. That will help us break loose on the rear. With the first flick, we unsettle the car, we'll break loose, but it's not enough angle so that the wheel can do all the work by self-steering itself. So that way we have to flick again for a second time ourselves, return it back to counter steer, and that will exactly cause us to basically start the spin out, and we then control the spin out. Alright guys, now we're into the live gameplay, and I want to explain a lot about the wheel, and you obviously kind of know what we're going to do. So, what is going to happen with the Scandinavian Flick? We're gonna go with very high speed, we're gonna drive forward, and then as we have way too much speed for the corner, we wanna do the Scandinavian Flick, right? So what we're going to do is, we're going to flick suddenly towards the right a lot. That will unsettle the car. We're gonna slip on the rear just because of the sheer crazy force that we do this sudden flick. We're gonna shift the weight towards the right because this is a right corner. We're gonna, basically the corner is turning right. So we do one turn towards the right, we're shifting the weight there, that washes off and kills a lot of the speed. But now what you would expect, guys, is that the wheel will actually self-steer alone, right? But usually we do. But wrong, guys, because here we're not already in a spin. We managed to force the car to slip, but the car is not spinning. So that means you could probably get some self-counter steer, but it's not going to be enough. So as we flick the wheel towards the right, now we have to actually use the left hand while we grab it and counter steer ourselves as well. That will basically be kind of the second flick, and then we finally enter into a spin and we control the drift. And from there, we do another flick, and we do all this while also being full throttle. So what is happening? We drive full speed, flick right, then we pull the wheel to the left, that's the second flick, as we have unsettled the car. Now we enter spin, then we just progress the drift, maintain it towards the opposite side of the road, and then we again let the wheel, basically we flick to the right, and then obviously you can let the wheel go, and you can probably at this point self-steer with the wheel, let it, then catch it, and just maintain the drift as normal. However, during these flicks you might actually have to counter-steer yourself, so the wheel is not going to do full job alone this time. You have to help it a lot in a lot of the cases. So for this purpose, we just need to kill a lot of speed. That's why we do the Scandinavian flick. It's just one more flick compared to the feint entry, but we're gonna cover this into the other video. So without further ado, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna show you exactly what's happening with the Scandinavian flick. Alright guys, we go with high speed towards the corner, flick right, flick left, and then you can catch the drift, then you flick again, and you enter the corner with very nice speed. We killed and washed off enough speed to actually make it through the corner. You saw we went literally full speed ahead with like 100 kilometers, something like this, and I had to kill a lot of this speed so I can make it to the corner. And obviously a lot of times, if you end up flying too fast and you can't kill enough of the speed, you could do a lift off as well if needed, you know, cut the throttle, or if needed, you know, during transitions, just lift off briefly to engage the engine brake to slow yourself down. And you can, if needed, as last resort, you could just add a lot of steering angle while you turn the wheel on the corner, and that will ensure that you go into very big or reverse entry. It might hinder your exit though, like the line that you're exiting, but you're gonna save yourself for the corner itself. So today, as I said, we'll have to pay massive attention to the wheel, guys. So let me explain a bit. While you're going with full speed, right here you're gonna flick the wheel towards the right. Now, obviously, how much you flick the wheel towards the right depends on the car, the setup, you know, how grip it is. But in general, you give a lot of angle, which will determine also what angle you enter in. It will still be a shallow angle kind of, guys, to the point where you actually have to pull the wheel and counter steer yourself. That's basically where the second flick comes in, and it will kill tons of speed. However, the wheel is not going to do all the self steer for yourself, so you have to be super attentive to the wheel and do a lot of work with the wheel itself. And another thing that you can do, guys, is just, I'm gonna explain this into a hand positioning tutorial and stuff like that, but use your left hand as a measure while you hold the wheel and you flick towards the right. Is basically use your left hand to gauge how much angle you're actually turning, and this will determine as well into what angle you're going to go in for the first flick. But usually it will not be as big as you expect because you're just unsettling the car and you just slip. You're not gonna go into a spin. The spin happens after the second flick to the opposite side. So basically what you do is with your left hand, you're gonna grab and pull to the opposite side to force that second flick, and then you enter spin, and then you can actually see that I can let the wheel do the self-steering and help me a bit, but I still have to do a lot of the work because another flick is coming while we keep the throttle. Now I'm gonna show you a few exercises that you can do slowly and progressively to build yourself up to do the full Scandinavian flick, because at first it will be very confusing, you know, turning the wheel, then actually not letting the wheel do all the work, and you have to flick again to the opposite side. So you can actually build yourself up. So let me show you guys what I mean by this. We're gonna go full throttle. You go full throttle, you pick second, third gear, and then you turn the wheel, and see we did change a bit the trajectory of the car by this small turn like this, which is like what, 10-15 degrees, whatever, and the car was still straight, so we didn't manage to force the rear to slip. That means we actually have to do more, guys, more angle. So we're gonna turn like this, and you see the car almost slipped, so we need a bit more, like probably, as you saw me on the example, was showing like 45 degrees, right? So this is how you do it, guys. You start 15, 20, then like 30, and then finally you can jerk the wheel off towards like 45 degrees. So let's try 45 degrees, and you see now the car slipped. You could literally feel this because the car naturally wanted to straighten out, and it whipped back, and it naturally wanted to go the opposite direction and do a transition. It actually did a transition, and then because we're off the throttle, the car naturally straightened out. Alright, since you learned the slipping angle point of the car, guys, now, and how much degrees you have to flick, basically turn the wheel, now we're gonna work on the counter steer itself, where we forcefully turn the wheel to basically force the car to spin. So we're gonna go again into, you know, spin out them, then we control the drift. Because let me show you what happens if you don't actually pull the wheel yourself. So now I'm gonna put second gear, I'm gonna get some speed just for a quick showcase. So in third gear, guys, we flick to the right, and then we left the wheel, and you see the car just straightens out. So you're not gonna go into transition or like big angle, and at the best you'll be at shallow angle. And this is why, guys, after we flick to the right, we wanna flick to the left to get the angle. Now you click, you get the point, right? So this is how you practice how much you actually have to counter steer and flick to the opposite side to get this nice spin and spin the car, get the angle, and then go on your way towards the final flick to the corner. That's about it. Alright, we're gonna go full speed ahead again, we're gonna flick to the right, then we're gonna flick again 45 degrees, and you see, usually flicking the opposite side, guys, with like when we turned the wheel 45 and I flicked it back right here to the opposite side, same degree, that was just enough for this car. Obviously some cars are extremely grippy, extremely stiff, and you really have to pull a lot, like maybe way more than 90, 120 or like 180. You know, the flick really depends on the car, but you get, this is the general base foundation just to understand you have to do the work yourself. You cannot rely this time on the wheel. For example, the wheel to do all this, like when you clutch kick, you know, the wheel will stealth steer and it catches the angle for you, and you do all this easy work. You get the point? Here you actually have to turn and then turn the opposite side to force this car to spin, and then you catch the spin, you catch the drift, and you keep going. That's about it. So we're gonna do one final showcase, guys. We drive forward full speed, we flick again, we turn, we get this nice angle, and then if you see you're super fast, just lift off, guys. Nothing to worry about. And if you get way bigger angle, you don't even have to literally keep full throttle. The angle will slow yourself down, and you don't have to be full throttle at the last transition. This all is just variables, depends on the situation, how much speed you had. I think this was the fastest I went towards this corner, like 100, I think 120 or something, like before the flick, which is crazy. This is double the speed you actually want for this corner. So this is it, guys. I really hope you liked it. I really hope you learned something. Just make sure you build yourself up, practice these steps, practice the initial flick, practice the counter steer where you pull yourself up, and then once you get the angle, if you have watched my previous episodes, you by this time you should know that you have to flick yourself to the opposite side, and once you enter drift it will be easy for you guys. But it's all about getting this initial flick, and then you actually have to pull because the wheel is not gonna steer all by itself, and learning this. If you liked it, please like the video, I'll really appreciate it. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. If you like this type of content, subscribe, really appreciate it. And for now, fellas, wish you all the best, and we'll see you in the next video.